In this episode, we're revealing how microplastics get into your food, even though you can't taste, see, or smell them. They also carry dangerous chemicals, like PFAS, BPA, and phthalates straight into the food chain. Here's how it happens, and how to reduce your exposure. As we mentioned earlier, you can't see, smell, or taste microplastics, which is exactly why some people don't realize they are there, and others simply ignore them. Take paper coffee cups. They look harmless, but they're not just paper. They're lined with a thin plastic coating. Pour in a hot drink, and that lining can release a surge of microplastics, up to 50 times more than cooler liquids. So that morning latte you grab without thinking. It's essentially microplastic coffee, brewed right in the cup. And it's not just coffee. Hot noodles in paper cups do the same thing. Heat pulls microplastics straight into your food. And it's not just microplastics we need to watch. PFAS, the forever chemicals, stay in the body for 2 to 5 years because they barely break down. They're linked to cancer and liver damage, so cutting exposure really matters. Expert panels now emphasize that virtually all humans carry PFAS. The only difference is how much, and that depends on your personal exposure. That means rethinking things like non-stick pans, and moving hot food out of fast food or takeaway containers quickly. And we'll uncover the PFAS hiding in clothes and personal care products in Part 3. Next thing to avoid is non-stick cookware. When cooking with non-stick pans at high temperatures, PFAS leaching into food increases significantly, heightening the risk of exposure to these harmful chemicals. They are linked not only to cancer, liver damage, but also to developmental problems in children, per Environmental Protection Agency studies. Let's uncover another hidden fact. It's best to avoid canned food with aluminium lining coated with PFAS. These forever chemicals prevent sticking and extend shelf life, but they can leach into food, especially if it's acidic or salty. Let's clear up a label myth. BPA-free doesn't mean chemical-free. Just because a product is labeled BPA-free doesn't mean it is free from other harmful plastic chemicals. Many BPA-free products may still contain other bisphenols, such as BPS and BPF, which can pose similar health risks to BPA. In 2025, France's food safety agency ANSES uncovered something unexpected. Glass-bottled drinks often contain more microplastics than plastic bottles or cans. The problem isn't the glass, it's the plastic-sealed caps and even the paint on the lids, shedding particles straight into the drink. Some glass bottles had up to 50 times more microplastics than the alternatives. So pay attention to the lids, not just the glass bottles, containers, or even your thermos flasks. Another everyday risk hides here. Plastic chopping boards. When cutting meats, carrots, celery, potatoes, apples and oranges, foods can absorb microplastics released from the board's surface. Studies show these particles cling to food and may be ingested. Now, let's talk sea salt. Microplastics are found in up to 90% of sea salts worldwide. These particles come from degrading plastics in the ocean and can end up in your seasoning. To reduce exposure, choose rock salts like Himalayan pink salt. They contain fewer microplastics and offer trace minerals your body can actually use. Next, heat increases plastic chemical leaching. As we mentioned earlier, heat speeds up the leaching of plastic chemicals into our food and drinks at an even higher rate. For instance, plastics like PET can start leaching chemicals like antimony when heated above 49 degrees Celsius. High-fat foods tend to absorb more of these chemicals, increasing health risks. So, transfer takeaway food and drinks into glass, china, ceramic and stainless steel containers quickly. The next thing to be aware of is dishwasher detergents. Emulsifiers and other components in most dishwashing detergents can leave residues on dishes, potentially causing inflammatory responses if ingested. These residues may include microplastics from various sources, for example detergent pods and bottles. In terms of harmful toxic elements, emulsifiers in detergents can be toxic with chlorine, surfactants, and synthetic fragrances. Also alcohol ethoxylates, which is used in rinse aids. They can damage gut cells and potentially trigger inflammatory diseases. Here's a kitchen swap that matters. Avoid aluminium foil and plastic wrapping film. Both can release toxins and microplastics into your meals. Using aluminium foil and plastic wrapping film for food storage and cooking can introduce toxins and microplastics into meals. Aluminium foil can leach aluminium into food, especially when exposed to heat, acidity, or salt, potentially contributing to neurological issues and bone disorders. Plastic wrapping films may contain harmful chemicals like BPA, which can migrate into food, particularly when heated, raising concerns about hormonal disruption and long-term health effects. So now that we've seen how toxins and microplastics touch our food every day, it's time to take action and choose safer alternatives. Remember, knowledge without action changes nothing. So let's turn awareness into daily habits. Here are the key steps to reduce the harm of microplastics in the body. First up, reverse osmosis filtration. This system is one of the most effective ways to clean your drinking water. It doesn't just remove microplastics, it also filters out heavy metals, bacteria, viruses, and harmful chemicals. With the ability to block particles as small as 0.0001 microns, it ensures even the tiniest microplastics are kept out of your drinking water. Now let's move into the next steps to reduce the harm of microplastics in the body. One powerful step is sweating. Through saunas or steam rooms, heavy sweating helps the body detoxify, flushing out microplastics along with other environmental toxins like heavy metals and pH phthalates. It even mobilizes and excretes toxins stored in fat tissue. Another important step is exercise. By raising your breathing rate, exercise boosts oxygen intake, expels carbon dioxide, and improves circulation, all of which support the body's natural detox processes. Together, sweating and exhalation make exercise a highly effective way to eliminate toxins. And finally, consider glutathione, often called the master antioxidant. It supports detoxification, helps neutralize free radicals, aids liver function, and even assists in making new DNA. For guidance on using glutathione, consult your nutritionist for personalized recommendations. Here are additional steps for reducing the harm of microplastics in the body. One of them is sulforaphane. It enhances liver detoxification and helps break down toxins like BPA and BPS, aiding in the removal of microplastics. You'll find sulforaphane in cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, and bok choy. Another key step is increasing dietary fiber. Fiber supports natural detoxification and helps eliminate toxins through the digestive system. Load your plate with fruits, vegetables, legumes like lentils, chickpeas, black beans, and kidney beans, as well as whole grains such as oats, brown rice, quinoa, and whole wheat. Flax seeds are another excellent source. You'll also want to add probiotics and fermented foods to your grocery list. These support gut health, reduce inflammation, and help the body excrete microplastics. Great options include yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, tempeh, kombucha, and naturally fermented pickles. Remember, pickles made with vinegar aren't truly fermented. Their acidity comes from vinegar, not gut-friendly bacteria. To get probiotic benefits, choose pickles labeled fermented, raw, or contains live cultures. As we touched on earlier, flax seeds are a powerhouse, rich in fiber that helps sweep out microplastics from the body, and packed with plant-based omega-3s and antioxidants. They support digestion, heart health, glowing skin, strong hair, and overall well-being. But here's the key. Always grind them first, say, in a coffee grinder, because whole seeds often pass through undigested. And once ground, enjoy them straight away to keep all those nutrients intact. A simple trick is to stir a spoonful into a boiling hot meal for just a second or two. That quick heat helps reduce any packaging contamination. For example, add it right at the end to miso soup. You'll have a nutrient-dense bowl, fermented miso with freshly ground flax seeds, warming, nourishing, and good for both your gut and your heart. Now choose natural and lasting materials such as stainless steel, ceramics, glass, cast iron, titanium, and wooden options instead of plastics. For example, bare cast iron. Good quality is safe, but it can leach small amounts of iron into food, which is usually harmless and can even be beneficial, unless you have a medical condition requiring low iron. Still, acidic foods such as tomato sauces, citrus, vinegar, or wine reductions can strip the seasoning and leave a metallic taste. And now, let's talk about enameled cast iron. It's generally considered one of the safest options out there. Most modern cast iron casseroles, think Le Creuset or Staub, are made from cast iron coated with a ceramic enamel glaze. That enamel is a glass-like ceramic layer fused to the iron at very high heat, and it does an important job. It stops iron from leaching into your food, even with acidic dishes like tomato sauces. The good news is that high-quality brands are carefully tested to make sure their glazes are free from lead and cadmium. Independent reviews also highlight that these enamel coatings are non-toxic and stable at normal cooking temperatures. The only real caution is with cheaper, low-quality enamelware, which can sometimes contain unsafe heavy metals in the glaze. Alright, let's turn to natural wooden utensils and how to keep them in great shape. First, wash them quickly by hand with mild soap and warm water. Skip the dishwasher, because the heat and detergent can really damage the wood. Then, give them a little care by rubbing in food-safe mineral oil or beeswax from time to time. That helps prevent drying and splitting. Another tip, don't leave them soaking in water, since standing water weakens the fibers and can encourage mold. It also helps to rotate their use, so each piece has time to dry fully between meals. And when you store them, stand them upright in a jar or rack so air can circulate all around. Look after them this way, and your wooden spoons, spatulas, ladles, even your chopping boards, will last for years, stay hygienic, and actually look better as they age. Here's the key thing. Not all chopping boards are created equal, and the material really matters. So let's start with what to avoid. Softwoods like pine or cedar are too porous, they splinter easily, and they soak up odors. Composite or glued boards can be risky too, because they may contain toxic adhesives, such as formaldehyde or phenols. And it's best to steer clear of boards with heavy chemical finishes. Petroleum-based mineral oils or varnishes can leach into your food. Now, for the healthier choices. A solid slab of hardwood, like maple or beech, finished with something food-safe such as beeswax or pure mineral oil, is a great option. Walnut and cherry are also excellent picks, striking a nice balance between beauty and safety. And if you're drawn to teak, it works well too. Just remember it's a little tougher on your knives. Acacia is another strong contender, valued for its durability and natural resistance to water, making it a practical choice for kitchen utensils. With a smart choice, your chopping board and wooden utensils will be reliable kitchen friends you can count on for years. Something really important to note is that when it comes to wooden utensils, the key is choosing wisely. Look for FSC or PEFC certification and similar sustainable forest management and certification schemes. That means the wood comes from responsibly managed forests. And remember, quality beats quantity. One well-made chopping board or spoon can last for decades. Why does it matter? Because protecting woodland isn't just about trees, it's about safeguarding wildlife, storing carbon, and keeping our planet's ecosystems healthy for generations to come. And speaking of safe choices in the kitchen, let's move from wood to steel. When you're picking stainless steel, go for food-grade quality, like 18/8 or 18/10. That way, you're getting durability, safety, and resistance to corrosion, all in one. Here's why it matters. Food-grade steel means it's safe for contact with food and won't leach anything harmful. The numbers, 18/8 or 18/10, tell you the mix. 18% chromium for rust resistance, plus 8 to 10% nickel for extra strength and shine. The result? Long-lasting, hygienic cookware bottles and containers that stay free from rust or staining. And speaking of safe, healthy choices, let's look at how we can swap out aluminium foil for natural alternatives. Instead of reaching for foil, try glass containers, beeswax wraps, or unbleached parchment paper. Unbleached parchment is a safer, eco-friendly option, made from natural wood pulp, without chlorine bleaching, so it keeps its warm brown color, avoids harmful chemicals, and can often be composted. Beeswax wraps are another brilliant choice, made from organic cotton, natural beeswax, tree resin, and jojoba oil. They're pure, microplastic-free and reusable for 6 to 12 months with proper care, cutting down on single-use waste while keeping your food fresh. Moving on, cling film is another big one we can replace. This is where we can really cut down on single-use plastic and choose safe, natural alternatives that keep our food fresh without the hidden microplastics. Here's the quick matrix of swaps you can use every day. For fridge leftovers, glass containers or sturdy steel tins are your best bet. And if you've just got half a lemon or a piece of cheese, beeswax wraps are perfect as a backup. For packed lunches, think beeswax wraps again, paired with steel tins for durability. If you need a quick wrap-and-go option, unbleached parchment paper is a safe backup. No toxins, no plastic. For freezer storage, glass containers or steel tins do the heavy lifting here. And if you want another option, ceramic containers or even enameled cast iron can step in. They're natural, long-lasting, and freezer-friendly. For countertop covers, ceramic or wooden lids are simple and stylish, or just pop a fabric cover or plate over the bowl. Easy, natural, and zero waste. For baked goods, beeswax wraps or cloth bags keep bread and pastries fresh, and if you're gifting or storing short-term, unbleached parchment paper works beautifully. So instead of reaching for cling film, you've now got a whole toolkit of natural, reusable, and safe alternatives. Each swap fits a different routine, and together they make plastic wrap completely unnecessary. And while we're on the subject of everyday swaps, let's talk about something you probably use every single day. Tea bags. Now, unbleached tea bags sound like the safer choice, and in many ways they are. They skip the chlorine bleaching process, so you're not left with those chemical residues. But here's the catch. A lot of tea bags still contain plastics, nylon, polypropylene, or cellulose blends. And when you drop them into hot water, they can release billions of micro and even nanoplastic particles. Studies show these particles don't just float away, they can actually interact with human cells. That's a little unsettling when you think about it, so what should we avoid? First, chlorine bleaching. It leaves behind residues. Second, some fancy pyramid tea bags might be made of nylon or polypropylene. They shed microplastics at brewing temperature. Check the brand label details. And third, glues and sealants. Many tea bags are held together with plastic-based adhesives, which add another contamination source. But don't worry, there are great alternatives. Go for unbleached paper tea bags that don't have a plastic lining. Or better yet, switch to loose-leaf tea with a stainless steel infuser, a glass teapot, or even a reusable cotton tea bag. And keep an eye out for brands that proudly label themselves plastic-free. More and more are doing this now. Always read the label. The best practice is simple. Choose unbleached, plastic-free tea bags, or make the switch to loose-leaf tea. It's a small change, but it makes a big difference. So here's the reality check. There are 3 real microplastic-free certifications. Flustics in Europe, microplastic-free certification in the UK, and microplastic solution in the US. Different regions, one purpose. Proving products are truly microplastic-free. And here's the catch. Even though companies can print these logos, most don't. Testing is expensive, standards are strict, brands don't want to risk failing, there's no legal requirement, and consumers are only just waking up to microplastic contamination. That's why only a small handful of brands actually carry these seals. And for lower toxin exposure, stick to organic, bio, eco, or solid safety standards like BRCGS, SALSA, HACCP, or ISO 22000. Watch Part 3 next. Microplastics in personal care products. This is where the issue gets up close. You'll see exactly how microplastics slip into the products that touch you every single day, from your clothes and cosmetics to toothpaste, loo rolls, tampons, and more. Once you understand that exposure, the swaps and reductions stop feeling overwhelming. They start feeling obvious, doable, habit-forming. So let's jump into Part 3.